Welcome to Spotlight Sessions, where we shine
What's
a light
your
on
story?
incredible. What does accessibility mean to you?
What's your mission?
Hello, and welcome to another episode of accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions. This is an opportunity to highlight different organizations and leaders in the disability community and the amazing work that they do. I'm Sapir. I'm your host for today's episode. I head up accessiBe's nonprofit partnership program, and I'm very excited for our guest today from the ARC of Weld County. So welcome, Amelia.
Thank you. Very honored to be here today.
Thank you so much for joining. So why don't we jump in, and can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Amelia Koehmstedt. I'm the executive director for the ARC of Weld County. I've been with the organization for over 11 years and the executive director for over 2. We support people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, not just in Weld County in Colorado, but through a grant with the ARC of Colorado. We support 7 northeastern counties across our state, focused on inclusion, acceptance, and belonging for all.
Amazing. And I'm so excited for this conversation. So, what inspired you to join this organization that you've been with for quite some time?
Absolutely. I have some lived experience in the world of disabilities. My aunt had a developmental disability as an adult, lived in an institution here in Colorado. And when I graduated with my master's in public health from the University of Northern Colorado, also in Greeley, where we are located, I started working for a residential provider agency, and they did host home and group home placements for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Greeley had multiple institutions that were deinstitutionalized in about the 90s. They've been around for many decades. So there's kind of a population hub where we're at of adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities that don't necessarily have their family support systems. And so there is a number of provider agencies that provide those supports. I was honored to be a part of one of those organizations. My son was born. I took some time away and reconnected with the previous executive director. He'd been our executive director for approximately 22 years. I knew him from my previous employment because his family was host home provider for an individual I supported. So we crossed paths, and a few months later, I came on as an administrative assistant and have worked with the organization ever since.
Amazing. So, I love to hear that you're very much part of the community, not only at the personal level, you have this connection, but also locally, seeing what the organization has done, is capable of doing, and wanting to be part of that.
Absolutely. Um, Being part of the ARC system, we're a national federation. In the state of Colorado, we're a little unique because we only do advocacy. We don't provide services. We don't provide the residential services my past employment provided. We don't do day programs. We don't do those things. We advocate for any need, birth till death, for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and support their families and communities. And it really kind of broadened that opportunity for me to dig deeper professionally in supporting this passion that I hold personally. Since my aunt's passing, I've been blessed to have many family members with children with disabilities, particularly autism. And it really has been a wonderful blessing to be part of the ARC and connect not just my family, but the communities with the resources that we're honored to know about and collaborate with. It's a really great network, and it really is such a strong service for people. We also do things without cost. And so that's pretty exciting that really wherever you are at in your life, we can provide some supports for people with disabilities.
So glad to hear that. Also, thank you for sharing what inspired you. And I'm sorry to hear about the passing of your aunt. Given the advocacy work that you're doing, can you tell our viewers a little bit about what that might look like and if you have a memorable experience from it?
Absolutely. So advocacy is really focused on the individual, so with a disability. So what's important to keep in mind is that we support individuals to make choices, um, seek out desires and opportunities as they self-determine. As long as it's not illegal, we're going to support the individual with their choice. We are not attorneys. We are lay advocates. So as long as you stay outside of the legal realm, we may be able to provide supports, again, at the choice and the discretion of the individual and family. An advocacy situation that was really amazing. So we have a individual that we recognize as a strong founder. There were three women who had children with disabilities. In the late 90s, our chapter was going to close. We didn't have enough members. And the main office had said, we're going to ask that your chapter dissolve. And this one particular mother, Margaret Brown, said, well, I don't think so. So she recruited a number of members to allow our chapter to stay present and involved. And through her relationships with mostly moms, but other families in the area, we were able to stay afloat. So we were incorporated in 1992, and Margaret and her friends got involved in 1997. Since then, we have created the Margaret Brown Memorial Scholarship Fund. So she unfortunately passed away on April 17th, 2022. And we created this fund in 2019 while she was still alive to build her legacy about community support and education for people with intellectual disabilities so that they could be part of their community as they self-determine. And several times we've accessed this fund when no other resources were available to ensure that people didn't lose their homes. One particular situation, we had an adult woman with IDD who was in a very serious domestic violence situation. And she had to move suddenly, and she did not have the resources to secure housing. There's lots of, upfront costs. There's a whole process, and it can be quite complex. So we were very honored to be able to support her and get her into that space. And she's now been a longstanding member, and she's very active in some of the things that we do. In fact, we have our annual meeting coming up soon, and we hope to see her there.
Wow. That is a really memorable experience to have had, and to combine all of the advocacy work that you're doing into the community and have those connections is so amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
A follow-up question is, when you hear the word access, what comes to mind for you?
Really what comes to mind for me is everyone. So it's less about what the verb might be, and it's more about who is using the verb, right? Who is either obtaining access or being denied access. And then you take it the next step of, okay, so this is the individual that access is either a positive thing or something that has barriers associated with it. And then you move into a strategic understanding and plan about how to improve access. We frequently run into things that are disability related barriers. They're not always difficult to overcome. Sometimes it's a forest through the trees opportunities where you sit back, you evaluate the situation, and you support the individual again as they self-determine about how they want to access the different resources in their community.
Absolutely. And oftentimes it's us, the able-bodied or the ableist ideas, that are putting those barriers down and not being able to understand the accommodation. So following up on that, what do you wish people knew about people with disabilities?
Their value, truly the value that they provide in so many different ways. And you don't get that unless you have lived experience with them and you take the opportunity to understand what their lived experience is. And it varies with everyone. And the experiences are going to vary even within each individual. There's going to be joyous opportunities, there's going to be struggles, there's going to be heartbreak. But ultimately, it's that entire experience with an individual that demonstrates their value. And they have something to contribute, every single one of them. Sometimes it's just giving them the opportunity to do that, the accessible opportunity that really can demonstrate that, not just to the people who know them well, but everyone else that shares the space in the community with them.
I couldn't have said it better. So with that in mind, do you have a message for the business community, to our viewers, to brands, about what they can do to make the world more inclusive?
Understand that inclusive is just a piece of the solution. Our vision is inclusion, acceptance, and belonging. Belonging is our ultimate goal. We want everyone to be included. We want them to feel accepted. And then we want that acceptance to be able to be projected outwardly as a sense of belonging. just keep in mind that inclusion is a starting point. It is valuable. It is incredibly important. But no, it's not the end of the journey.
That was such a good message, and I'm so grateful to you and to the ARC of Weld County for the amazing work that you're doing. So thank you, Amelia, for being a guest today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Of course. And to all of our viewers, thank you for tuning in to the Spotlight Sessions. You can continue the conversation with us by liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel or following us on Instagram at accessiBe_community. We'll see you there.